तेरी मेर दा बोलना तुदे आगे अरदास गुरु गुरु वाहिगुरु गुरु रामदास आद गुरे नमः जुगाद गुरे नमः सत गुरे नमः श्री गुरुदेव वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की there is a simple concept which I like to speak about today. That's the most vital part of humanity and a little important part of the Sikh religion and etc., etc., etc. I'm not trying to emphasize it with the consciousness that you have to follow it to the teeth, but I like to lay it down what humanity is. We are Christians and we are Jews and we are Muslims, we are Buddhists, we are Fuchsists, we have many religions. As humanity, we have many religions and we have many thoughts. But the greatest thing ever which is worshipped today by the maximum people is Bible, is read by the Jews, by the Muslims. Quran is almost based on, technically speaking, on the same situation. So Judeo-Christian and Islamic tradition is one group. Hinduism, from the Aryan to the Buddhism and to Confucianism and all that, you can brand it into one group. That's no different. It's just a question is who collects the money in the congregation and how much influence one gets to one. That's all is the difference. If you really want to look at. In my search for religions, when I was for the world peace and trying to do my best, and we used to have all religion conference in the evening wherever I go into city and teach, and all the spiritual people will come. And sometime they discussed very openly. The only thing they were discussed was that they are afraid that they may lose congregation to the new ideas. Therefore, to keep the congregation with the ideas in the church. And the main word which I understood among the religious leaders was the tariff. I don't understand what I thought, well, perhaps a tariff. But tariff means a territorial jurisdiction in which you influence the congregation. So my concept from that is, we are not worried about the spirit of the person, whether it lives or dies. All we wanted, whether he pays is this one, he pays his money, he contributes his seva, he comes or not. If he does everything according to the book right, and his soul is dying, it's okay, it's fine. There's nothing to worry about it. If his bana is right, his banis are right, he gets at Amrit Vela and does all that. Net result of that should be, the person should be very elevated. But if it's not, then it's okay, it's fine. I mean, that's where religion dies. Nobody is willing to take confrontative responsibility that if you are doing this, net result should be this. Why the net result is not evident? Why you are not very compassionate? Why you are not very general? Why you are not very great? Why you are not very elevated? You know, those kind of things which must show in a character. If they do not show in the character of a Sikh, with all the thing, there's a one line which I would like to emphasize. Nanak jiunde amar rahiye. We may live, we may be alive, but we may dead while we are alive. This is one line which has been very misunderstood, and today, in sequence to the Baisakhi, I can tell you, the 5 gave their heads to the Guru. And it is said that each time Guru came out with a bleeding sword, and then later on all the 5 came dressed up. Now, martyr is the highest person respected in a religion. Martyr, there's nothing to shaheed. Martyr is the one who does for duty. The entire Gita is based on one thing: do your duty. There's beauty in the duty. If you do your duty, you do perfect. Duty for a soldier to defend the country, for a man to do his job, for a slave to do his master, from a servant to his employer. There's a sense of duty. And the sense of duty is for children to parents, parents to children. If you want to look at all relationship, the things which decide the effectiveness of it is the sense of duty. And Gita is based on it. And Arjun says, I'm not going to fight. These are my relatives. I'm not going to kill them. It's totally terrible. What are you telling me to do? And Krishna said, do your duty. They are already dead. You're not killing them. They have taken a side on the wrong side, and you have to fight for the righteousness, and it's your duty now. He said, Dronacharya is my teacher. He taught me how to handle an arrow. How can I kill him? He said, he made you to learn to handle an arrow so you could today kill him. As a student, it's your duty today. And this was a matter of duty, dedication. And he said, do your duty. On the other concept, it's very difficult to do duty. And for a martyr, he does duty, and a soldier goes to the war, many die, many live. But those who die, they die as immortals. We remember them, we respect them, we raise memories of them, and their memories are raised for dedication. But there is a one duty which is very difficult, which happened in the time of Guru Gobind Singh. The five gave their head and thereafter lived all their life headless. They had this physical head, but they lived headless. Their dedication was absolute. Their obedience was absolute. Their character was absolute. And that is what proves the line of Gurbani. And some people hate Gurbani that much. I was speaking Gurbani to somebody, and somebody said, don't shove Sikhism through my throat. It shocked me. I was just telling an exemplary scriptural language that it was a simple line, Karishnan Simr Pravapanan Mantan Payaroga. In the ambrosial hour, get up and do your ambrosial bath, and your body and mind was going to be healed. That was a healing process. I was advising somebody, and that's what I was saying. It has helped me, it will help you. Instead of being grateful, the answer was, don't shove Sikhism through my throat. And I'm saying this is the concept of the mind and the dedication and devotion of the people today. And expected out of them is that they should give their head. I was just taking two things, and I was looking into the gorge, the gap of the modern Sikh of 1993 and about 300 years ago, the concept of a Sikh. He stood before 85, 90,000 people and asked, I need a head. And asked, psychologically it is not right, and human right will not agree with it. And no man has the right to ask somebody's head. What for? But he exercised his right as a guru, and he said, I need a head, I need a volunteer. One came. Look at the second one who came. Look at the third one who came after that, seeing the bleeding sword, fourth and fifth. Then he dressed them and he brought them out. Then everybody wanted to be, oh my God, I should have given my head. What was there? If I would have known that this was the thing to happen. But that it was not known. The fear of the unknown is very sure and granted fear. And then these five not only gave their head. Giving head is very difficult but very unique thing to do. And once you give your head and you are dead and gone, it's a matter of recorded history that you have sacrificed yourself. And as a martyr, you have become immortal. Great. But giving your head and thereafter to keep living on in obedience, that is called giving the head. That is the reality. Today, human nerves, human mind, human religion, human reality, human concept, human belief is not good enough. Today, commotions, emotions, feeling, dramas, traumas, all have overtaken. Today man is poor, spiritually bankrupt. Dishonest. Because even per se, if God has given you body and God has given you head and you accept the acceptance of God, first either do one thing, deny it. There's no God. If you do that, then it's fine. Then it's okay. But on the other hand, when you accept God, and you do not accept that God is the doer, then you are not accepting God. Then you have not understood the meaning of kaar. The God is the creator. God has created the creation. And God is the master of this creation. And it is not something we have to learn from the books. It is evident the day happens and night happens. We know scientifically that Earth rotates on its axle, on its orbit. We understand this rotation and this life makes time and space. Knowing all that, we also know philosophically, sociologically, and personally that there is a fate and there is a destiny. There is a good luck and there is a bad luck. We know that. We understand this is sansar brikho. In this tree of life, it has two fruits. It is good and bad. So you can't throw this whole theory away because it's a practical reality. It's not going to go away whether you like it or not. Good is good, bad is bad. But good and bad is a comparative study. Something is good for people, something is not good for that many people. Something is bad. One thing is not good for anybody, and that is discipline, self-discipline. That's not good for anybody. Nobody wants it. Everybody wants the result of it. Everybody wants the benefit of a turban. Nobody wants to put a turban on. Everybody wants the benefit of the mala, but nobody wants to rotate it. Everybody wants the benefit of the prayer, but nobody wants to purify the mind so that the time of prayer it may work. You want the result, but your obnoxiousness cannot allow you to be sophisticated enough to understand that creativity has a challenge in itself. And if Sikhs have not understood from Nanak, Jinni naam te aaya gaye musakkat kaal. Musakkat means hard work. Kalana means you get one with the sweat. You do hard work and you get one with the sweat. Gaye musakkat kaal. It's a very clear indication. Guru Nanak didn't say those who just walked 3 miles a day are going to be liberated. He never said that. It is a real thing. Jinni naam te aaya. It did not say Jinni naam japya. There's a one difference I want to tell you. Japna is practical. Dhyana is hypnotic imagination of the self. It means you have a total hypnotic control of the self. Dhyan means only when you redirect yourself under your self-hypnosis and you direct your mind under your command. Please don't misunderstand and don't mislead anybody. Dhyan is just to close your eyes and sit there, and that is just practicing to do dhyan. That is not dhyan. Naam does not mean repeating a word. Holy word is just a help so that your mind may not waver. Naam means your total identity, your existence. Jinni naam te aaya. Those who have taken their naam, their identity, and have hypnotic control of their mind, body, and soul, and has done this hard work. Gaye mushakkat kaal, nanak te mukujle kiti chuti na. Their mouths, faces are bright and beautiful, and they are liberated. Naturally, after that, there is nothing but to be liberation. Liberation is not even wanted for that. It's already very clear. Circumstances will tell you. Environments will tell you. God will protect you. You don't have to protect yourself. The lack of faith in God is lack of love. I do not understand those who love, how can they lack faith? Those who love, how can they lack trust? I have yet not understood. I'm 65-year-old. I am on my last days and last mile of my life. I have been searching. Mahatma Buddha searched a lot of things. And a lot of people achieve a lot of things. I have not yet achieved one thing only. The only thing I want to achieve in my life. What happens to these human beings? They say they love. They pretend, they act, they do everything. But what happens to them? Why, what kind of love is this that it does not give them the width, depth, height, length, strength, reality, totality, divinity, dignity? These are the offshoots of love. It's practically impossible to believe that person has love. And then person is not a person itself. There is a thing in this world today that love is being used for different purposes. Like when somebody says, please surrender, surrender does not mean that you sit down and put your neck down. Surrender means actually giving up your ego. And when you give your ego, you have to take Guru's wisdom on. Then otherwise there's a gap. Guru ki matte laye aane, bhakt bina bahut dubbe syaane. Take the wisdom of the Guru, O innocent. Without bhakti, without devotion, lot of people drowned. And devotion is a constant relay, constant communication. Devotion is not something which you understand in a physiological and psychological form as something, an act you do. It's not an act. It's a constant relay of touch of the mind and the being, from the mind of the being to the mind of the being, from one identity to another identity. And it does create the psyche, a relevant psyche of the same frequency and the communication. And it does came the psyche and the electromagnetic field of the same psyche, that in between even, sometimes you make a phone call and you say, well, there are mountains, it doesn't go. And sometimes your intercommunication is not practical because the sun flares disturb it. I mean, these are scientific phenomena. But when you are into the psyche of this love, of personal communication, and this is what you are, this devotion, then there's nothing which can come in between. You know because you know. And this is the psyche of a Sikh with his Guru. This is the psyche of a lover and a beloved. This is the psyche of a love and love. Therefore, those five did not mind telling, if you want a head here, you have it. You want it, it is yours. Then when they came out with the head on, that's very difficult. First you give something, then you have to keep it on. You don't understand the five beloved one and their story really in the history of his life. He gave the head, one, they are saying gave the head. He said, here is your guru. He pulled him in and he came out with a bleeding sword. Right? And after five, he brought five decorated ones and he said, here are the five. Then once you give somebody something and then somebody gives you the same thing back and say, keep it on in that grace, do you understand how difficult that is? Then these five kept Guru's head on their head. That's love. Holding the fort with dedication and grace, doing the duty, is called love. Love is as infinite as God is. It makes a human divine. It takes away the duality. It gives somebody a real reality which one is afraid of. And without that reality, life is just lived through as one has gone through and is as meaningless as it could be. So, being dead and being alive is exactly giving head to the Guru and then having a head. Sometimes you are very confused. You say, how can I do it? I can surrender and then I can be a person myself. No. Just see this. They gave their head to Guru practically in the presence of 80,000-90,000 people, and then their head was on their head for rest of the life and they were their own person. And by tradition they stood up. And stood up well. And kept going. Never gave a chance to anybody to misunderstand or misrepresent the fact. And that is what Jinni Naam Te Aya Gaya Musakkat Kaal. When we talk about Bhai Daya Singh or Bhai Himmat Singh or any of the five beloved one, we talk with the same concept of reverence and respect. Not only they gave tradition to themselves, they give tradition to us, that we five who feel that we are worth it and we are pure enough, we can take the command of the head of the Guru. Those of you who have children and who have not given them the teachings, you have given them the wild head. You didn't give them, ask them, my child, you are my son, give me your head and I'll give you Gurmat. And then you keep this head on and head on with the word as my tomorrow. Rather, I am very ashamed to tell you, there are parents who are covering their children through their teeth lies. They are lying directly. Whole world knows it, but they don't. They are so much in sleep that nothing can wake them up. And that's why there's a trouble. There are wives who have their own head, and then a head of a wife, and head of a Gursik, and head of a lover. So you have 5, 6, 7 heads on one neck, lot of weight. You can't carry on like that. And it reminds me of Ravan. He has 10 heads of wisdom. That's it. 10 heads of wisdom. But he has the 11th of a monkey, or the donkey. when he went and took away Sita by force. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that your wisdom, your activity, your personality, your identity, your actions can be challenged if you do not have the capacity of dedication, devotion. If everything to you is emotional, mental, then you will be victim of jealousy, insecurity, etc., etc., etc. Net result will be you will be depressed, you will not make sense, you will have very poor impression, you will talk very shallow and talk light, and you will not be in a position to confront your own born, forget about anybody else. You can't because you are not you. You don't have the strength to carry the load. When you cannot carry the load of devotion and strength and dedication, then you deal with things emotionally. Then you spin things emotionally. And that's the way you think you can pass the time. But net result of that in the end comes as a disaster. So please thoroughly understand, this Baisakhi of Guru Gobind Singh and birthday of the Khalsa has a very, very, very special message. It's a message for those who wants to live with dedication, devotion, strength. And they want to be because they're supposed to be. And then many of us who wants to waste this time because of our emotions and our ego and our, call it anything. There are a million words in the history of man, and man has been a victim of this. There are some people are so stone-head, you teach them. Somebody went to learn Ramayana, and he went whole month listening to the Ramayana. And somebody told him, what did you learn whole month? You learned whole month, wake whole night, and worked so hard and did the whole thing. What did you learn? He said, nothing. It was a simple story. He said, what was it? He said, Ragro ki gagro ki ragro bamno ral ke kus pustako bana diyo. Somebody took somebody's wife, somebody went and took his wife back, and Pandit sat down and wrote a book. That's all it is. And that's all I understood. He did not understand anything more than that, and he took 1 month to just understand that one line. So there are people who you talk for a century, nothing sink in. I think God has blessed them with that block. And there are some people who understands everything, but can't act anything. God has blessed them with breaks. So there are some people who are stopped by blocks, there are some people who are stopped by breaks, but there are some good people who break through. And those were those 5 who broke through and then not only gave their head, but carried the head to the rest of their last breath. That's why in Ardas we say, Panj Pyare, Char Sahibzade, those 5 beloved ones. And the beauty of the thing is that 4 born of the Guru, 4 sons of his, also stood true to the tradition. These 5 came through. But those who were born, they were no different than those 5 one. So Guru Gobind Singh was not only Guru Gobind Rai and became Guru Gobind Singh, not his 4 sons were not true to the fact of life, not these 5 bloods were not true, but every Sikh became true to the life. And that is what Khalsa is all about. Is a methodology and a science of not satisfaction, but of experience of satisfaction. It is the depth and experience. Now, one day you will not hear me speaking. And some one of you has to have an head to continue talking to the congregation. Your worldly degrees and your relationship with your wife and surrounding and environments and your manipulation and your votes in the Khalsa Council will not help. I can tell you. 100 ਸਿਆਣਪਾਂ ਲੱਖ ਹੋਏ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਚੱਲੇ ਨਾਲ. Your 100,000 wisdoms shall not go with you. And I know some of you have not thoroughly understood what McAuliffe wrote about the Gurus. Even you have not studied that much. So it's a time for you to catch up with your back studies and awaken your soul and have some conception. I shall be grateful if you carries the Guru's work and Guru's word. I understand you very well. You want all the benefits, but not the work which comes with it. You want the perks, but you don't want to take the ownership. I understand this escapism. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you keep on continuous escapism, the soul will escape into the law of karma. Because you are escaping from dharma. Therefore, it is for you to prove to yourself that you are 10 times better, 10 times stronger, 10 times wiser, 10 times effective, 10 times real. So that tomorrow will not regret. You become a dependable son, not depending son. You become dependable daughter, not depending daughter. You become strong enough to carry the load. You do not become the load. So let this Baisakhi of 1994 clearly tell you what is coming. And do not please misunderstand that we have not given you a call. Those who have the grace, the destiny, Guru's word at their heart, and Guru's grace with their self shall answer the call and carry on the work. And that is the Khalsa tradition. When one falls, 10 takes its place. That tradition is a blessing in disguise. But what I'm trying to explain to you, those who are dreaming and those who are trying to manipulate and planning, and must understand, the eagle has landed, time has come, and call is out now. And those who feel honestly, truthfully in their soul, they can carry the work of the Khalsa and walk on this path and carry others too. Those who can heal themselves and hail Guru Ram Das and heal the world are required to be, and it's the rightful time for the mission to continue. There are some who just think that it should be just bestowed on them and everything should be silent. There's no man powerful enough to bestow on anybody anything. Crown of spirituality cannot be conquered, it is always bestowed by the Guru itself. So a person has to have love for the Guru and ready to be betrayed It comes with the territory, folks. Whenever you cross the limits of a human, then Maya tests you as a human through every relative or relay of communication you know, directly and indirectly. So don't misunderstand that it's such a convenient thing. You might be sitting, seeing the glamour of it, but you may not have to see also the pain of it. So this Baisakhi of 1994 is a very special Baisakhi. It is 6 years, this is the year to 7 years will cross the century. It is in the cusp of the Aquarian age. The Piscean language and Piscean religion and Piscean people shall be absolutely obsolete and wiped out. There not a one truth spoken by the Piscean shall be remembered by the age of Aquarius forever, practiced or understood. It'll be a clean wash. But those who want to cross this cusp has to come out with the tendency of practicing and experiencing and tradition to fit in. And the Piscean tradition is, I want to know, take me there. Aquarian tradition, I know, I shall lead you there in experience, here and now. I hope this Baisakhi will be understood. As few you are, many you shall be. As you have been made to walk lonely by those who follow this faith, you shall be more in number and you shall more in power and prevail. If you ever remember me in person, forgive those who have not accepted you today. And accept Guru Ram Das, who has accepted you with heart and head and has self-decorated you. And our Baisakhis every morning when we put our bana on. That's all Guru Gobind Singh did. When we gave our head to him, he decorated himself, us, and that Guru Gobind Singh in spirit. When you dress up every morning, you keep the tradition. So our Baisakhi is every day. And every morning when you get up, ambrosial hour, God is with you for the whole day. Mistakes can be corrected, life can be organized, but there is nothing more than offering yourself at the altar with dedication to serve the dharma, because it wipes out all the karma. Please remember, you have followed the tradition in the West. It shall be your duty that you shall not do it to anyone tomorrow as a punishment, but you will give forgiveness. You will be kind of the Khalsa. You will use kindness, compassion and care. It may look very funny today, I am requesting you. It will not look funny 1,000 years from now. And I want to remind you again and again on this day of Baisakhi that we shall have a tradition, that we shall never let anybody come before us. Even that person comes voluntarily, we'll forgive. We shall not pronounce punishment. We shall open heart with open gates, with warmness, accept the worst and leave it to God and Guru, to our purity and piety as a Khalsa, to the best of tomorrow. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa.
ki fiyate. Meri pyare satsanga ji, Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh. Thank you all for coming and joining us on today's Baisakhi celebration. Sardina Sahiba Ravi Harkar is going to read us a story about Baisakhi Day. Then we're going to have the Saropa presentation, and then the children will do their program with Sardani Sahiba Sangeetkar. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.
Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh. This is a story that I wrote for my first Baisakhi here in Espanola, so that was about 18 years ago. And I was trying to personalize the Baisakhi, that historic, that first Baisakhi day in 1699. I really wanted to try to imagine what it must have been like to be there. So this is not really a new story. This is the story of Baisakhi from the viewpoint of a Hindu woman. Baisakhi Day, 1699. I was there the day it happened, Baisakhi Day, 1699. It was an eventful day, to be sure, for all people. The winter wheat harvest was bountiful that year, putting everyone in high spirits. The day dawned with a cloudless azure sky, and the warm sunshine enticed young and old, hardy and frail, into its darshan. The breeze was soft and carried the sweet, heady scent that is spring. I can remember it all very well because I woke that day feeling different. I supposed it to be excitement for the Baisakhi Harvest Festival, or maybe just the special energy one experiences on a fresh spring morning, one of those when the first thing you feel is a cheerfulness and a gratefulness for being alive. I had wakened as usual before dawn, bathed in the river, and went to my Hindu temple for the morning prayers. Afterwards, as the sun rose higher and higher, the city of Anandpur began filling with visitors arriving for the Baisakhi festival. From all over the countryside, people came to join in the festivities, and the road into the city was soon crowded with heavily loaded ox carts, people walking, children running and joyfully screeching, cows lumbering, and countless other beings and creatures making their way. I hurriedly finished my morning chores and went outside to join the crowds. The level of excitement and gaiety continued to rise, and for a while I amused myself just by strolling along, watching and taking in the mood and spirit of the people. As luck would have it, I spotted a dear Sikh friend of mine, Kamala, and her husband Himmat across the way. I made straight for them, as I could not think of anyone I would rather spend the day with than those two. She and I had known each other for years, and though they were Sikhs and I Hindu, it made little difference. In fact, we spent much time trading stories of our faiths, and I learned about Guru Gobind Rai from her. I always enjoyed those times we spent, and they gave me a deeper understanding and respect for the Sikhs. I have never seen a happier married couple, and I know their devotion and love of God were the root of that happiness. When I finally reached them, and we had greeted each other, they told me that Guru Gobind Rai had sent out a request that all the Sikhs from the city and the surrounding countryside for miles around gather that morning in Anandpur. They asked if I would like to come along, and since the day's activities had not yet begun, and too since I had a curiosity about this Guru Gobind Rai, of whom I had heard so much, I agreed to accompany them there. The area designated for the gathering was a large open field with only a few shade trees on one side. What little shade they provided was already taken up by people anticipating the heat of the late morning sun. At one end was a small hill with 2 or 3 tents staked on it, and these we supposed were for the comfort of the Guru. As we approached the area, we were laughing and talking as old friends do, but gradually we became aware of a change in the air. There were thousands and thousands of Sikhs, and others as well, converging on the meeting place. And though the excitement of the Baisakhi festival pervaded, there was an undercurrent, something more subtle and yet almost tangible. It was a feeling of urgency, of expectancy, and a touch of mystery. Our own thoughts turned from the festival to what lay immediately before us. Why had Guru Gobind Rai called for the gathering? What special words of truth would we hear from him this day? We seated ourselves among the many others, rather near the front, and we waited, silent, with each with our own thoughts. I could sense the love and devotion my two friends had for this guru, and while I myself was anxious to hear what he had to say, I could feel that they waited with a deep longing of their hearts. They sat quietly in meditation. It took quite a while for everyone to arrive and be seated. The spring sun grew hotter, and the breeze that had blown earlier now offered no relief as we sat waiting. The flies began to get pesky, and beads of sweat soon covered our brows. We sat, we waited. Finally, all who seemed to be coming were seated and quiet, and then, from one of the tents emerged Guru Gobind Rai. All eyes turned towards him, and thousands of people gave him every ounce of their attention. I had never seen him before, and my heart now pounded as I first laid eyes on him. There was indeed something incredibly special about him. He was not a tall or large man as I had pictured, yet his projection was strong and fearless and radiant. He was in full dress of royal blue and wore a long sword at his waist. As he strode the short distance from the tent to the top of the mound, the sun caught the jewels in the hilt of his sword, and they dazzled and sparkled. There was determination in his stance as he turned to face the Sangat. Then slowly and deliberately he drew his sword. All was still. He spoke. "My beloved Sikhs, is there one among you who will give your life for me?" I was puzzled. What did he mean? Many had given their lives in his service, so that didn't seem to be the right interpretation. But if he was asking someone to die for him, when? Right now? In the future? How? Why? Was he serious? People were exchanging puzzled glances, but there was not a word spoken. Again he asked, "Is there one of you who will give your head to your guru?" Now the minds of all were racing, but still there was silence. And yet a third time he spoke and called out, "Who will give me his head as proof of his faith?" The silent tension was almost unbearable, and then one man, Bhai Daya Ram, rose from where he sat and with bowed head replied, "O true king, my head is yours." Immediately there was a sense of relief, and I grabbed for Kamala's hand and found hers waiting for mine. But if that first feeling was relief, the next was awe for this man who, as he made his way toward the Guru in his last living moments, held his head high, and a radiant peace came forth from him. The Guru took him by the arm and led him into one of the tents. Again all was quiet, and then we heard a thudding sound from within. Guru Gobind Rai emerged from the tent, and the crowd gasped at the sight of his sword dripping with blood. Had he really cut off his head? He stood before us and asked, "Is there another true Sikh who will give me his head?" There was no response now, as the crowd was certain he had taken Bhai Daya Ram's life. A second time he asked, and a third, and finally a man called Dharam Das rose and replied, "O great Guru, take my head." He too then was led into the tent, and Guru emerged again, sword wet with blood, but this time he was demanding, and with sword raised high cried, "I want a head! Someone give me a head!" At this the crowd began to murmur, and some called out that the Guru had lost his reason. Others began to leave, claiming he had gone mad. But amidst the growing confusion, one man, Mohkam Chand, stood tall. His elegant dress made it obvious he was a man of great wealth and riches. He moved forward through the restless crowd, and when he reached the Guru, he laid his jewels and necklaces at his feet, and then quietly walked into the tent. When the Guru came forth again, asking for yet another sacrifice, there was a general disturbance. Many were now leaving, thinking the Guru had so lost his senses he would kill them all. Others stayed, ashamed to run, and ashamed because they could not make the final sacrifice. This time Sahib Chand, a young man without thought for the years ahead of him, offered himself to the Guru. I will never forget that young man's face. Such purity and such innocence were his. The fifth time Guru Gobind Rai came forth asking for a life, most people were practically running away. Only a few remained. My friends Kamala and Himmat sat with bowed heads, and I was in a trance. After the shock of the first few who sacrificed, I asked myself again and again, Who is this man for whom people give up their wealth, their homes, their very lives? What does he stand for? Who is he? And slowly, but ever more clearly, the truth of it came to me. Then the cry of, "Give me another head," brought me back to reality. And suddenly Kamala was squeezing my hand hard, and I could feel hers shaking in mine. I watched, incredulous, as her husband Himmet slowly rose, gently loosening his hand from hers, letting it rest for only a moment on her head. And then he said, "Take my life also, O true Guru." And he walked forward to give his head. Kamala's face was streaming with silent tears, but a smile of infinite beauty and peace was on it, and I understood how their love for God and Guru was the same and yet came before their love for each other. Stunned, I watched Himmet walk forward, and I was overcome by his grace and humility. Slowly, but more surely with every step, he approached the Guru, knelt at his feet, and bowed low to the infinite God who had blessed him thus. He rose then, and his eyes met Guru Gobind Rai's, and for the moments that they held each other's gaze, that oneness and love for each other was obvious to all. Then the Guru took him by the arm and led him to join the souls of the four who had gone before him. What happened next surely astonished all who remained. The Guru brought forth the 5 men who had given their lives, all dressed in splendid robes and jewels. They stood with a majesty and royalty unmatched by any king, and with a humility born of divine grace. I knew that what I had just witnessed was a moment so vast that it would stand out in the history of the world until the end of time. At the sight of these 5 pure beloved ones, as they would come to be known, Kamala gasped and immediately bowed her forehead to the ground in grateful supplication to God and to this Guru. The 5 were then baptized by the Guru as Khalsa, and he in his supreme humility begged them to baptize him in turn, saying that Guru is Khalsa and Khalsa is Guru. And as they did so, I came to realize why I had wakened that day feeling new and special. For I, along with many Sikhs and Hindus and others, also received that day the baptism of the pure ones, and like they, have given my head to God and Guru. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We would like to present Saropas now. This is the first year of what will become an annual tradition here in Espanola for Baisakhi. The Gurdwara Committee chose these people for this first year with kind of a guiding light or a guiding inspiration that these people, most of them are what you would think of as sort of the unsung heroes, people who work and may or may not get the recognition, but never ask for it. And we know that there are many others who are deserving of this. So just keep up. Anyway, we would like to honor the following people in the presence of Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib. Balwant Singh for his master prasad making and his inspiration and general Gurdwara Seva for years to come. I mean, for years and years to come. You're committed now. He's Guru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. He's also our Gurdwara secretary. Guru Simran Kaur from the ranch, is she here? Guru Simran Kaur, we wanted to honor. She's just one of many, many who work over there but she works so hard, and she's often not around. We often, as you can see, don't see her. So we will bestow this on her later.
Well, why don't you ask somebody to take it on her behalf?
Please.
Is
Yes,
there
city
somebody
summary, okay.
volunteer to do that?
Thank you.
She might be working right now, you know.
She probably is. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This next person, her name is synonymous with two letters in the alphabet, and those two letters are P and R. And Hari Kaar has been serving as our inspiration for recognition in New Mexico for many, many years. She has made countless phone calls and arranged countless political happenings and other things. And a lot of people may know that she organizes these political things, but I happen to know in intimate detail how much she puts into this and how much she has sacrificed at her job and her home life, and we want to honor this. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Mukhya Jatadar Sahib Ji, Amrit Singh, we want to honor for his service and his leadership as our Mukhya Jatadar for I don't even know how many years. It's been quite a few, and it's hard to imagine him not being in that role. Also, he's been such an inspiration and a teacher on the Langar front. We would be sorely missing him if he ever had to go anywhere.
Don't leave.
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This one is one of those silent Sevadars. Kartar Kaar. Did she just take her baby out? Kartar Kaar. Kartar Kaar is always cleaning the Gurdwara, serving the Guru, and she's one of those truly silent Sevadars who would never even think of, I don't know, she's just always working and always serving. Guru Namkar, we want to honor for, she has for years served the Guru. Her devotion is evident. She has always done beautiful and inspiring Akhand and Gurdwara setups, and now she is serving the Sri Singh Sahib completely devotedly and has made a tremendous switch in her lifestyle to do that. Guru Namkar, are you here? Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Now I'd like to honor Guru Bhajan Singh and Guru Bhajan Kaar. Is Guru Bhajan Kaar here? These two have hosted and served and cooked and driven and endlessly taken care of the Sri Singh Sahib and his staff and opened their home and just I don't know, they're a real inspiration. They just don't stop. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Okay. Satnam Singh will present the rest of them.
Sri Guru Namkar has always kept up doing save at the ranch, working to get our compods scheduled, keeping up in general, doing seva whenever called upon. about a month ago when her husband was near death and she had a new baby and a toddler at home. You could still see her around the ashram keeping up. So we are happy to present her with a Saropa today in honor of her service to the Sangha. Dr. Hari Jot Singh and Sevakar have sacrificed many hours in the wee morning healing our spiritual teacher. And for this, we are glad to honor them today for the healing energy they have given us as a Sangha and to our spiritual teacher. Please come forward and get your Saropas. जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Guru Simran Kaur must have worked very hard because she's on my list also. So, extra blessings for her. Another recipient today is a man who has represented our Sangha in Santa Fe on the Interfaith Council. As Hara Hara Singh, he has always kept up around the ashram. He has always been there when somebody needed him to call on him for seva or whatever else was necessary, and we'd like to honor him with the Saropa today. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. A lot of us don't know what happens with our security situation at the ranch. There's one man, Kartar Singh, who has almost spent almost all the hours of his waking and times when he should be sleeping day to make sure that our staff and our Siri Singh Sahib and his family is guarded at the ranch. And sometimes it's a very thankless task, but he has taken his job seriously and has kept up over all these years to make sure it was done properly. We'd like to honor him today. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We have some security people with us today. Vaheguru. And last, but certainly not least, a man and woman who, on this day of Baisakhi, to me, and I'm sure to all of you, represent a man and a woman who have truly given their head for us and for the Sikh Dharma. And it was done 500 years ago in Anand Prasad, and it's being done now in 1994 here at the Hacienda de Guru Ram Das. And I can't say enough to honor these two individuals. It's all been said in every different language. But I'd just like to thank them again for their devotion, their dedication, and their strength, and for shoving Sikhism down our throats, and our hearts, and our heads, and our souls. We'd like to honor the Siri Singh Sahib and BBG with the Saropa.
Huh? She's not here. Was you a card?
And if somebody could accept for BBG.
I'll accept.
Okay. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Accepting this Saropa is not a conception that I deserve it or not. Accepting Saropa is just that it's the blessing of those who are praying in silence. This honor neither can be bought nor can be sold. This honor is a conception of prayer. The power of the prayer is everlasting. So it is not that you honor a person, but you honor a concept also with it. So that's why this tradition of Saropa from head to feet, all the way, is a dedication. And this is the beauty of the Sikh religion. And I'll put it in a different words, not for your sake, because many of you come from the Piscean's time. You may not understand what I'm going to say today. What I'm saying today is for tomorrow. In all the consequences of the magnetic self in existence of the frequencies called human, in the enlightenment of the soul into dormant capacity, when it expands in the action on the breath of life, and with all the shadows which time and space cast, when a human continuous journey starts achieving a dedication, not with any motive or reward, to complete selflessly, to make the path for those who shall walk that way, is the deserving deliberation of a human identity, deserved to be honored in the court of the Guru. I like to put this definition in a simple way so that there may not be any misunderstanding. As a human, there's no concept and conception that mistakes cannot take place. Wrongs cannot happen. Reality can be non-reality. It's a question of how you look at it. And it's your own mental interpretation. For some people, Jesus Christ, and what the governor wrote, that this man has only 250 to 275 followers, he's nothing but a trouble. And if his own Jews have rejected him in comparison to a murderous thief, you understand, the charge was very clearly stated. Therefore, I wash my hands and I order him to be put on the cross. But today, he is Son of God. That day he was not. So it does not mean the judgment of the day is real tomorrow. There are many judgments. Judgment of your mental conception. Judgment of time and space. And judgment of history and action. So as our head Granthi has called on me to honor me, I'd just like to let you all know that I accept it as your prayer. And now, fortunately, as I'm standing, it happens to be that. And I've waited this for many years. I give you a call today to be honest. As a person, one day, I answered the call to be honest, with a sense of justice. I didn't leave eating pizza and Diet Coke. I'm not asking you to give up your numericals, mischiefs and blunders and mistakes. I'm asking your focus. When a picture is out of focus, doesn't matter how good the object is and how good the subject is, it's going to become blurry. You understand what I'm trying to reach you? I'm very practical and scientific on this. But the focus is right. The object will live forever and subject will be remembered forever. We have started this picture on the focus of only one man, Guru Gobind Singh. And a pure theologian and scientist, after having read all the religious word of mine, and practically achieving all which a man on the word and letter can achieve, I found dissatisfied. I did not feel then, and I do not feel for any reason, that there was any satisfaction in all what was achieved. Then I realized that personal achievement is most useless waste of time. It's the most bogus way of throwing your life away for nothing. And this personal gratification was most unfulfilling, rather than it was burdensome. When I was given a chance to be posted either at Ajmer or Ambala or Amritsar, I chose Amritsar voluntarily. And I found myself that all knowledge which I achieved and all this experience I achieved, it took me 4 years to get rid of it. I have to wash the floors of Hari Mandir with a mental focus that I have washed away all my wisdom and my intuition and my intelligence and my everything, my. And I called upon myself, and my only prayer, I remember myself standing before the Hari Mandir, said in very plain words, if you are Guru of mine, don't let me do it again. If I am your Sikh, you give me the strength that I should not do it again. And then I said, do you understand both ways you are in trouble, not me? And I bowed. And I can recollect my words and can repeat it here for you. And I said to myself, if in 1600 something, things can happen again. And when I came here, and people started relating to me with a mystery of any kind of guru, I made it very clear that I am a human, and I am trying to be Sikh. This Sri Singh Sahib, Pai Sahib, Harbhajan Singh, Khalsa Yogi Ji, is an identity created by the Western Sikhs. It is neither my personal nor individual. It is your honor. It has nothing to do with me as a person. I want to go on record, so tomorrow history may not mess it up. As far as I am as a person is concerned, as Harbhajan Singh, I am trying to learn to be a Sikh. And unfortunately, with all my practices in the past, I have gone so far away and so flown away that it becomes very difficult to come back to those nitty-gritties being a Sikh sometime. And sometimes you might hear me saying things which are far out and bizarre because I jump at God and do all those kind of things. I'll not advise you to do those. Those are my yogic frustrations of an excellence, infinity which I achieved. They are rare things. And that oneness of God, when I say God and me and God are one, it's not anything to do with earth. In earth I may be just most equal to speck of a grain of sand. I have nothing to do with that. And mentally, I may not know a lot of things. I was telling my wife that day, I said, did you see me ever reading or studying or knowing anything from last so many years? She said, never. I said, how I know everything? She said, you tell me. I said, I can tell you right now, in every question there is an answer. Just figure out the answer fast enough. Those other men may not know you have searched it out. Because total universe is one and total psyche is one. Only the difference by ego is the difference of the psyche. And that's the block. And that's the blunder of the individual. So, I would like to let you understand that there's a time to answer the call, to work for the mission of the Guru. And to your true father, Guru Gobind Singh. And keep this dharma going. Don't misunderstand, and please understand this thoroughly well. I would like to explain scientifically. Some will not be in a position to carry on. It's all right, it's okay. After all, when you cook a lot of stuff, everything doesn't come out 100%. So it's a very purifying fact. And I know that I am giving always the honor that I worked for Sikh Dharma, number one, and I worked for the mission of the Guru too. And number three, I have brought to the West the teaching of the Sikh Dharma. There are 3-4 others which I am not repeating. I like to stand today categorically and deny it. Absolutely true. I have been used. Why? I don't know. And neither I care. But I definitely know when I lecture, I enjoy it when I hear my own lecture. That I know. And most of the lectures are so beautiful. I like if sometime they can transcribe it and give it to me. But unfortunately, seldom I read them, so they don't do it anymore. Because I definitely know that if you feel honest for another person, now I'm talking my experience so that we can share it as a human. When you feel honest for another person, and you're not honest yourself, you understand? No, you can't. You come from Judo-Christian background, you can't. You have nothing but guilt and punishment and vengeance and revenge. That's where your lies weakness. When you are not honest, but you happens to be honest for another person, God will take over. It's a granted fact. Because God doesn't know you are honest or not. He knows you are not honest, but the question is, situation is honest. And your will and wish is honest for another person, then it comes binding responsibility on Almighty to carry you through. That's what the story is. Somebody saw only one footprint, and he said, how come you left me when I needed you the most? He said, no, I carried you. God does not abandon anybody, provided you have the truth and honesty to help for the better, best, and good of the other. Your own personal good is a personal matter between you and God. That you sort out sitting on the accounts book. But when you really help others person, and that's all seva is. That's all Sikh beauty is. That's all purity of the Khalsa is. Doesn't matter what I am. All it matters is when you can do best for the other, ignoring yourself first. And if you feel Angsang Vaheguru and feel His God is with you, then you will be curved for your mistakes, for your blunders, and for your weaknesses, and then you will have all. This Sikh Dharma of Western Hemisphere is your responsibility, is your property, is your decoration, it's your grading, it's your work, and is calling on you to carry it. In spite of the fact you don't have time, you don't have the mental built-up for it, you have physical imbalances about it. Like me right now, I'm missing almost every second beat. And medically I'm not supposed to be standing here. But I fully understand nothing is going to happen. So what I'm trying to explain, the time has come that you can start understanding to work against your own art. Some of you are not taking me seriously. You think I am forever. In ethers, yes. But how long you can feel a body granted by all virtues 48 years to live on earth can stretch it to 65 years, and how many more years you think it can go on? And after all, don't you get tired of wearing one shirt again and again and again? Even the laundry doesn't like it. So please understand, now is the time, and time is now. I have asked you to come, learn from me certain things I can teach, which nobody can teach on this planet. This is my sole privilege. That is how to change neurons into the frequency of projection and regression and how to balance it. Now go and take the dictionary out and find out what I'm saying. That's one thing. Secondly, how to recuperate when absolutely you are minus 0 into infinity, gamma, theta, alpha, beta with all detail. And then you can come plus. These are certain techniques you can understand and work it out. So in the field of work sometime, when you feel awfully handicapped, you have an extra hand. And that you can do. And in simple words, it is called the science of the Chardi Kala. Call it anything you want. And I'm standing here being grateful to my teacher, who was kind, benevolent, graceful, gracious, divine, who taught me the Sikhism, taught me the path of the Khalsa, taught me the way of the Guru, and taught me the strength and the science to hold myself in case of zero chance, they call it. I remember in the words of his own, I repeat it, and the repeat word was, in the sense of all faculties being zero, if you can call one there, you are still 10. And that's the learning process. I'm not going to ask you again and again. I do not know how much length of time and space I have. But if somebody has a dedication, you must not blame that you were not given a call. It's a hard path. It's a path of those who learn to love and dedicate. It's a path of those who can conquer their own ego for their own purposes. This honor, which I am wearing around me, is certification of your existence, your capacity. And here today, you have the capacity to honor a humble student. That's my personal evaluation. And I feel very honored when she read that story. I'll print it exactly, the story of the Baisakhi, and I'll pay for all of it from my personal account, period. And it has to be done on a war footing level today, and on the 10th of the Baisakhi, we are going to distribute it. The heading shall be the story of the Baisakhi from the Western Third Eye. That will be the thing, and it will be a little booklet, and it has to be printed faster than anything. And I'm not asking you to account for the money. I'm asking the Comptroller General. I'm going to call her, get her over here, and ask her to sanction the amount. and get it printed. And it will be the best gift we can give to distribute. And I'm very grateful that I have something I can participate on. So this story which she has written today shall be distributed to the entire Sangat of the Baisakhi, and we like to send it back home, call India. Do you know the blue color is indigo, and from that British calling Bharat, India? That word India learned from word indigo. As Kali Ghat, the goddess of Kali became Calcutta, and Rabindranath Thakur became Rabindranath Tagore. So don't misunderstand what you hear and what you see or what somebody tells you. There's something different. But I can say, best story which I have heard was today. It was very personal, very unique, and very realistic. And I like to honor her myself for that story. So how easy it is for me to get even? Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa.
Could the children please come to the stage, please?
We have a story. They're going to do a presentation. Can you roll it?
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Our father Guru Gobind Singh gave us 5 special gifts, the 5 katkas or 5 Ks. Each one balances a different tattva or element in the body. The 5 Ks remind us how to think and act. Guru Gobind Singh told us to keep our bodies as God made them and to not cut any hair on our bodies. Uncut hair is called kesh. Kish generates power and it channels ether. It transforms pride. If you never cut your hair, it will keep you from going crazy.
Kada is our special steel bracelet. When we see the kada on our wrist, we are reminded to do good with our hands and to act with the strength of steel. Kada is of the air element. It teaches us to be attached only to God.
Kirpan, our special sword, represents fire and it transforms anger. Wearing our kirpan, we say we will defend truth and protect those in need. We respect its power.
Kacharas are our own special cotton underwear. Kacharas represent the water element and help channel our strong emotions.
That's okay.
Oh my God.
You can laugh.
They protect their inner organs.
But remember, you are on the camera.
They keep us from being vulnerable. They keep our creative energy contained.
Kanga, our wooden comb, cuts all the soul's karma away. It keeps our electromagnetic field strong and it allows our cash to receive divine energy. Kanga represents earth and transforms greed. With our 5 Ks in our bodies, we are ready for anything and everything. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
To make it very elaborate, can we print all this too? Will that be nice? Put their name and age. That will be good. We are not to let anything which has been investigated for our coming nation to go waste. All right, now next.
one. You never gave an inch at all. Sons of the called son, remember those who died, stood their ground until their last breath. So we who live now might live free lives. A princess is not royal by a birth or a blood inside, but if her family's home is a non-preside, she'll walk with such a grace and strength, the world will bow in awe. Hear the mountain fall, never give an inch at all. Daughters of the called son, in your strength our future lies. Give our children fearless mind to see the world through the good news eyes. My Saki day we were thousands, only 5 had the courage for dying. That one brave man, one flashing sword, turned us all to lions. And now we live his legacy, to die before we fall. Like the 5 who answered his call, we can't turn back at all. Stand as a called son, strong and steel, a steady stone. Give our lives to God in good mind and soul, breath and bone. Chettenbudu gave even his son to give the cause a line, and his words stand like mountains against the winds of time. That Khalsa will rule the world, and all will be safe in his fold. But if the Khalsa falls, we won't give the world at all. Stand as a Khalsa, strong as steel, steady as stone. Give our lives to God in good mind and soul, breath and bone. Many speak of courage, speaking cannot give it. It's in the face of death that we must live it. When things are down and darkest, that's when we stand tallest. Till the last hour falls, we won't give an inch at all. Stand as a called son, strong as steel, steady as stone. Give our lives to God in good mind and soul, breath and bone. Sons of the called, remember those who died, stood their ground until their last breath. So we who live now, daughters of the Khalsa, in your strength our future lies. Give our children fearless mind to see the world through the good eyes. And as the Khalsa, strong as steel, steady as stone. Give our lives to God and good mind and soul, breath and bone. Stand as the Khalsa, stand as the Khalsa, stand as the Khalsa, stand as the Khalsa, strong as steel, steady as stone. Give our lives to God and good, mind and soul, breath and bone, mind and soul is alone.
Ramkali mehla tijanan, ek omkar satgur prasad, ananda maya meri maare, satguru mein paaya, satguru ta paaya, set set man laviya vataya, ragam parvar parya shabad gavadiya.
Shabadot gavo hari kera manjani vasaya.
Kahe nanak anand hoa satguru mein paaya.
He mana meri achu sararaho hale nale.
Nal ho tu mana mere dukha savavasana.
Angi karo kare kera kara sabasavana.
Samanagala samarata swami sukhiyo manovasare.
Kaye nanak mana mere sararaho hale nale.
Sate sae bhagya nahi batere.
Gata tere sab kuch hai jis de so paave.
Sada sarga sala teri naam manavasare.
Naam jinke man vasya vache shabad nere.
Kahe nanak sache sae bhya nahi batere.
Sacha naam mera adaro.
Sach naam da mera din bhuka sab kavan.
Kara shanta sukta manya visya jin icha shaba pujaya.
Sajan kurban ki tagur vityo jitya vadiyaya.
Kaye nanak suno santo shabad tera piyara. Sacha naam mera adaro. Vage panja shabad is a God's vage.
Gare suvage shabad vaje khala git garadariya.
Pancha dukta chudvasa kite kala kanta maraya.
Karam paya turtin ko se naam har ke lage.
Kaye nanak chek suko atit ganana har bhaje shlu. Avan guru pani pita mata tarata bahata.
Jivan surat toy nai daya kele sadala jagata.
Changiaya buriyaya bhaje dharam har juram. Dharme apo apni ke nere ke juram. Jenni naam diyaya gem satgalam. Nanak te mukh ujulen ke ti chuti nalam. Jenni naam diyaya gem satgalam. Nanak te mukh ujulen ke ti chuti nalam. Guru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh fateh. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.
तुमरी गत में तुम्हें जानी नानक दास सदा कुर्बानी तुमरी खत्म तो तुम ही जानी, नानक दास सदा कुर्बानी। अरदास। एक ओंकार श्री वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। श्री भगवती जी सहाय वार श्री भगवती जी की पातशाही 10वीं। प्रथम भगवती सिमर के गुरु नानक लेंदी आए, फिर अंगद गुरु ते अमरदास रामदास से होए सहाय। अर्जुन हर गोबिंद नो सिमरो श्री हर राय, श्री हर कृष्ण दियाए जिस दिते सब दुख जाए। तेग बहादुर सिमरिय गर नो निद आवे ताए, सब ताए होए सहाय। 10वां पातशाह श्री गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहिब जी, सब ताए होए सहाय। 10वां पातशाह दी जोत श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी दे पातीदार दादी अंदर के खालसा जी बोलो जी सतनाम सतनाम। पंजा प्यारिया चौहा साहिबजारिया चालिया मुक्तिया, हटिया जपिया तपिया जिना नाम जपिया वंड चकिया। देग चलाए तेग वाही देख के अंदित कीता, तिना प्यारियां सचियारियां दी कमाई दादी अंदर खे खालसा जी बोलो जी सतनाम सतनाम। जिना सिंगा सिंगनिया ने धर्म हेत शीस दिते, बन बन कताए को प्रियालु हया चर किया ते चरे। आर्य नाव छिड़ाए गए गुरुद्वारियां दी सेवा ले कुर्बानियां कीतिया। धर्म नहीं हारिया सिक्की कैसा स्वासा नाल निभाई, तिना दी कमाई दादी अंदर के खालसा जी बोलो जी सतनाम चार तख्ता सरबत गुरुद्वारिया दादी अंदर के खालसा जी बोलो जी सतनाम। प्रथम सरबत खालसा जी की अरदास है जी, सरबत खालसा जी को वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु। चित आवे चित आवन का सदका सर्ब सुख होवे, जहाँ जहाँ खालसा जी साहेब तहाँ तहाँ रचा रियायत। देख देख फतेह बिरत की पैज पंथ की जीत, श्री साहिब जी सहाय खालसे जी के बोल बाले बोलो जी सतनाम सतनाम। सिक्कानु सिक्कीदान केशदान रहेतान विवेकदान विसादान भरोसादान दाना सिरदान नामदान। श्री अमृतसर जी दे स्नान चौकिया जंदे बुंगे जुगो जुग अतल। धर्म का जय जयकार खालसा जी साहेब बोलो जी सतनाम सिक्का दा मन निवा मत ऊंची मत राका आप वाहिगुरु। हे काल पुरख अपने पंते सदा सहायदा तार जियो। हे नमानिया दे मान नितानिया देता न्योतिया देओत सच्चे पिता वाहिगुरु। Please bless all of us here this morning as we celebrate Baisakhi. Today, inspire us to give our heads in the tradition of the 5 beloved ones. May we follow their example. May we offer our minds, our bodies, and our service to the will of God. Please bless Sudarshan Singh on the celebration of his 18th birthday yesterday. May this be the year of his maturity and understanding and the perfection of his sadhana. Protect him from his weaknesses and grant that he can recognize in himself his own excellence. Let us say a prayer for Bill Wagner, who passed away. He was Yashoda's father, a student of Ma. Let us chant a call.
Please bless Elaine Wolf on her birthday. May this year be filled with prosperity and happiness for her. May Harimundi Kaur be blessed on her 8th birthday for all eternity. May her mission in life, breath, infinity, and God consciousness and love, may these always be her focus in life and in this year. Please bless all of us who are here today and everyone who couldn't be here. Please bless all the children of the cause, whoever they may be. May they grow into true sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh. Please bless our beloved guide and teacher, the Siri Singh Sahib Bhai Sahib Bhajan Singh Khalsa Yogi Ji. Heal him, surround him with your love. May his vision be fulfilled. May all of us grow so that we can take over his responsibilities and his duties so that the Khalsa may grow to the 960 million that we will be. Please bless the Gur Prasad and the Gur Ka Langar which has been placed before thee. May the sweetness of the Prasad remind us of the sweetness of thy name, and the steel that cuts it give us the strength to follow the path. Akda vada gata bolshak maaf karni, sarbate karaj ras karne ji. Se pyare mel, jinna miliya tera naam chit aave. Guru Nanak naam chardi khala, tere bane sarbata bla. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Agya pe akal ki tabi chalayo pant. Sabse kand ko hukm hai, Guru maniyo granth. Guru Granth Ji maniyo, pargat Quran ki de. Jo Prabh ko mela boj hai, khoj shabd mele. राज करेगा खालसा की रहे ना कोई ख्वार होए सब मिलेंगे बचे शरण जो होए राज करेगा खालसा की रहे ना कोई ख्वार होए सब मिलेंगे बोले Satnam Sri Vaheguru Sahib Ji.
Todi Mahala Panjava Hara Hara Charanurade Uradhare Simar Swami Sataguru Apana Karaja Safala Hamare Rahao Hara Hara Charanurade Uradhare Simar Swami Sataguru Apana Karaja Safala Hamare Rahao Punidan Puja Paramesura Harakirat Tata Bichare Gunagavata Atala Sakapaya Takura Agama Apare Jojana Parabrahm Apane Kine Tinakabora Kachana Bichare Namaratana Sanjapa Japa Jiva Harananaka Kantamajare Jojana Parabrahm Apane Kine Tinakabora Kachana Bichare Namaratan Sanjapa Japa Jiva Harananaka Kantamajare Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Todi, fifth Guru. The Lord God's feet I have enshrined within my mind and heart. Contemplating my Master, the true Guru, mine affairs have been adjusted. Pause. Alms, charity, and worship lie in the praise of the Supreme Lord Master. This is the essence of wisdom. Singing the praise of the unapproachable and infinite Lord, I have obtained immeasurable peace. The persons whom the transcendent Lord once makes his own, their merits and demerits he again considers not. Hearing, remembering, and contemplating the name jewel, live I. Nanak wears the Lord around his neck. Hearing, remembering, and contemplating the name jewel, live I. Nanak wears the Lord around his neck. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Bole